Well, here we are. Week 8 of project management. And I'm sure this class is starting to feel like a project on its own. And so I thought the Rocky theme was appropriate as we start to wind down this week and enter our last set of assignments. So let's take a look at what we've got coming up for this week to close out the class. First you have the discussion topic, and actually when you go into the folder you'll see that there's two separate topics. The first topic is to explain the top 5 items, here called critical items, that you've gained from the course. Basically, when you're walking away at the end of this class, what do you feel like you've gained from this class that is going to be important to your future professional development and your career? Make sure that you explain them clearly and provide some detail to show why these particular items were important. And this will also help me as I further work on the class to come up with things that we might work on a little bit more or a little bit less depending on what the students feel are relevant and important to them. Then secondly, you're going to be posting a brief overview, little discussion about your research paper, and you're going to be writing the paper. The week 8 paper is the kind of the biggie for the class. So you'll have a research paper, and as part of the discussion post we'd like to see a little bit of an overview so that your classmates know what you're writing about, okay? So they can talk about, you're not going to be posting your entire paper, but what you chose as your topic, what the issues were that you decided to discuss, okay? So that's the discussion for this week. Now, the biggie is the research paper, 10 to 15 pages. Now, this is one of those where I'm a little bit flexible. I prefer to read papers that don't have a lot of padding in them. So if you run out of things to say after about 8 pages, don't feel like you've got to throw in 2 more pages just to hit the requirements. On the other hand, if you are going strong at page 15 and you have more to say, go right ahead. So sometimes I'm pretty strict on the page requirements, other times I'm a little bit flexible, and here I will be flexible. You are to choose one of the following topics to write about: changing organizational priorities. Okay, so you're in the middle of your project and then all of a sudden the organization changes what it considers to be important and how that might change the scope. Not necessarily cancel the project, but change the scope of the project. So that's one topic you could choose. Another topic you could choose is change management and how that impacts projects. Lack of accountability on project requirements. Unrealistic deadlines for project completion. Relationship of project to strategy of the business. Okay, so you choose one, and then related to project management, which area do you think will be your biggest challenge? Paper again is supposed to be 10 to 15 pages. Down here it says it's 10 to 12 pages, not including the cover and reference pages. Okay, should have 10 peer-reviewed references. Now, by this time in the class you've been using peer-reviewed references, and those should help you get started with how you're going to write this particular paper. Okay, let me know if you have further questions on this. Really, it's going to be your particular choice of topic and your familiarity with that and your ideas about that are really going to determine whether this turns out to be a fairly easy project for you, easy paper to write, or a difficult one. Make sure you look into each one of these topics and try to determine which one you think you can handle most easily in the amount of time that you have available. And I'll talk a little bit more about time management in a couple of slides. So the second requirement for this week is the research paper. And then the third is the online project management assessment. Here we're to write a short paper that discusses and analyzes the decision to terminate a project. Here we're talking about shutting it down, saying we're not going to finish this project. And what drives that decision? Is it emotion? Is it intellectual? The argument here is many times it is an emotional issue that drives the shutdown of a project. Explain why many projects end up terminated as a result of ego or power or politics. Okay. You may refer to Chapter 2 and how the concept of Escalation of commitment factors into decisions about whether to terminate projects or not. Escalation of commitment means kind of like you've already put this much money into the project, this much effort. It's difficult to sort of say it's not going to be completed or we're not going to be able to finish it. And you can even see this in your own personal choice of things that you decide to work on. It's hard to say, this is never going to happen. This is just not a good idea. So that sailboat hull sitting in your backyard that you expected to be able to finish and sail around the world is, after 10 years, is still sitting there. You may just have to say this was not going to be a project that is going to see fruition. Remember to cite your sources and list your references. Okay, so discussion post, 2 different topics, big paper, 10 pages, and then the online project management assessment. So, knowing that we're winding down and you have a lot of other things you're trying to get done, the keys to success, of course, will be to manage your time effectively. As Dilbert says, he has too many projects and is freaking out. Experts say you should tackle the most unpleasant task first. Then you'll have a feeling of accomplishment and control. Dilbert starts sweating and fiddling with his tie, and now he says, I have too many projects and also some extra anxiety that I may be doing them in the wrong order. And his boss says, and off you go. So one of the things that might help you prioritize your efforts this week is look at the weights, look at the amount that each counts. The project research paper is going to be 20% of your final grade. It's the most significant item, single item in the entire course. The discussion for this week is worth 2.5% and the online assessment 2.5%. So given the weights, given how much things count, I think you should be able to see where you should probably focus your time in this week. All right, well, that's about it. I don't have too much more to say. You can get in touch with me if you have additional questions about the class. I'd just like to say that it's been a pleasure to be working with you throughout the class, and I hope to see you all in future classes. Let me know if you have any additional items you'd like to discuss, and I look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye and good luck.